get ready for hour number 2. And down in Australia, David John Oates, I think, is standing by. Are you there, David?
Yeah, I certainly am, Jeff. How are you this evening?
You always ask me that. I never know quite what to say. I'm doing
really?
well, thank you.
Oh, good. Okay. I say that to everyone. How are you? Nice. Nice greeting. Okay. I have a bit of a mystery I want to look at tonight. I had a client this week ask me to do reversals on Billy Meier, who's
yeah,
famed UFO contactee, and he's been around for many years, and I haven't actually got these ready for format yet, so we're going to play them straight off the tape. But I've got one ready for format. I want to start off by playing this one. Billy Meier, of course, a German man who claimed, 30 years ago now, wasn't it?
I think he's Swiss and he spoke German.
Swiss and he spoke German. Okay. So here he is. Someone says to him, where are these beings coming from? I'm going to play this one. I got this one dumped. Then we'll go and play the others.
Where do they come from, Mr. Meier?
They shall be coming from the star picture of the Pleiades.
Okay, from the star system of the Pleiades. And backwards, he says, I help the bullshit prosper.
That's very interesting. Now, for those of you who don't know about the Billy Meier story, it is one of the more controversial alleged UFO sighting, long-standing story. Some people think that he used models hanging on strings and photographed them. Some people think that he's the new Messiah, and they believe everything he ever said. He's written these very long tracts about philosophy, about life, about blah, blah, blah. But we don't know. It may have been a case of he had a couple of sightings, and maybe he didn't have any more, and he made some up to keep his story going. There's people have suggested that too. He's a very controversial man. Go ahead, David.
Yeah. Well, I help the bullshit prosper. That's quite an amazing reversal. But I'm going to play some of the others here. There's something going on here that I don't quite understand. So here we go. So he starts off by saying, I got a voice in my head. I heard something. Here we go.
Voice in my head.
Oh, hang on. We'll go back a little bit further. Okay, here we go.
Very nice voice in my head. I heard something to leave the house, to go out and to take a photo camera with me.
Right.
And here he says, it must rape here. Now this is straight off the top. I haven't got this dumped, so I'm running it straight backwards, so you'll hear it amongst the gibberish. Never really presented them like this, but it must rape here.
It must rape here.
Oh, that's nice and clear.
I heard something. It must rape here.
Okay, so that's rape, forcible intrusion, to be assaulted, to be hurt and harmed, but it must rape.
Speaking perhaps metaphorically of forcing information on us.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
You know, I don't know. The Billy Meier thing has always bothered me. I never bought into it. I wasn't closed-minded. I just never I saw things that, to me, there were holes in the story, okay? Like, he claimed to have seen on a television screen an E.T. woman. And there were pictures of her taken on a television. You know this part of it?
Yeah. I've got a reversal on it.
Well, yeah, the woman turns out to have been one of Dean Martin's girls in his TV show. It wasn't an E.T. at all. It was somebody from a Dean Martin TV program. I forget what he called them. He had about 6 or 8 women that, you know, support him in a eye candy sort of thing for his TV show. But it wasn't an E.T. woman. It was a Dean Martin woman. Anyway,
well,
that's going back 20 years.
So it must rape here. That doesn't have a good feeling to it. And,
no.
No. Then we have the next one along.
This disc was flying under the clouds, and then it came to the point where I was...
and here he says, snake in it.
Snake in it. And then it came...
Oh, very clear.
Very clear, I know. So
all
what's
right,
going
so
on
tell
here?
us, David, what does snake in it mean?
Well, snake is actually deception, cunning.
Yes, of course.
Conniving. So you could, and it must rape here, snake in it. Is he describing them? Have they, if they exist, have they come to force themselves on them with deception? Or is he the one who's deceiving? And it must rape here. Is he forcing his opinions on us? Okay. I don't know, but it's far more than a straightforward UFO sighting. And then here's the next one.
Slowly, it comes lower and lower and set it down between the white trees and...
And here it says, it used him.
Oh, I was there, quick. Down between the white...
There. It used him, very quick, sorry about that. So it used him. What used him? What's happened? And this is why I'm playing these. These are out there. And then he says, okay, so here he talks about this E.T. woman, okay? So here we go.
Mr. Meier, what did they look like?
She looks like a human from this earth.
And here he says, how foolish.
Yeah, it's foolish.
Oh, yeah.
She looks like foolish.
Oh, my.
No, I know.
Well, this is not looking good for him.
No, it's not looking good at all, okay? And here he says, she told me her name is, and I can't get it. Here we go.
Did she give you a name? What did you call her? Yeah, she told me her name is Semyase.
Whatever that is. And here he says, do I name her?
Oh, yeah. Her name is
Do I name her? Do I give her a name? He's thinking up the story as he goes. If you know.
Oh yes. Oh yeah. Oh my. All right. Play that again. He's. Yeah. Please play that reversal again.
Do I name her? Okay. So here's the forwards.
Did she give you a name? What did you call her? Yeah, she told me her name is Semyase.
Okay. And here it is. Quick. Do I name her?
Right
there.
Her name is.
Do you hear that?
I sure do. His subconscious is wrestling with him. Do I name her or not? Look, this is not a program. It wasn't set up to take down the Billy Meier story. So there are some really fiercely devoted people who guard this man like it's a cult. Many have called it the Billy Meier cult.
Yeah.
Pardon me?
One of them.
Yes. Yeah.
And then we come to this reversal, and this is the next one that I already played.
Where do they come from, Mr. Meier?
They shall be coming from the star picture of the Pleiades.
And here it says, I help the bullshit prosper. See, I find that a very interesting word, prosper, because that's what's happened to his teachings. They have prospered. He's got a loyal cult around the world following him, doesn't he?
You bet.
And,
you bet.
Hanging on to his every word. So, but these reversals are not reversals of a man who's telling the truth. he's very, and then the last one is this.
David is saying that with all due deliberation. He's been doing this for 35 years. Reverse speech is real.
Yep.
This man is clearly not speaking the full truth.
No, he's not. No, he's definitely not. And then the last reversal I've got, it says, my head was full of questions.
You see, my head was full of questions.
He says, choke the wolf.
Choke the wolf.
Oh, yeah.
Of questions.
Oh.
Yeah, that's his own wolf, his own protection. He's choking himself. He's stifling himself. He's causing himself harm. He's, so look, there's one of two things going on here, okay? Either it's a straight out lie, which I lean towards, or some beings have come and deceived him. That's the snake in it. It used him, and given him false information, which he is helping to prosper. So it's one of those two scenarios. It's not a genuine, legit experience. Does that make sense?
Sure, it makes perfect sense. And I've been following this story, like I said, for over 20 years. And I've never felt comfortable with it. Now, this is one of those things I would have said 20 years ago. I wish we could reverse this man. We'd find something out. The things he's written, they're these rather lengthy, book-length, dissertations about life and philosophical approaches to dealing with all kinds of things. The big, thick tracts that people buy and read and hold, in some cases, higher than anything else. They believe it. So it's.
And is he claiming that this? Is he claiming that this is information the ETs have given him? Is
correct.
That what he's claiming?
Yeah, and channeled, put in his head. It didn't come from him. He's claiming it came from visitors. Yeah, but it's written in his own style and him. The whole thing.
There's so many self-appointed messiahs out there who think they've got the answer. You know.
There you go. You've pretty well summed it up.
Yeah, I know. Here, let's look at some genuine ones. Seeing we've looked at UFOs. Here's a man who went. This is way back. This is going back in the 90s. A man named Victor, who came out from claimed he was revealing information from Area 51, and he appeared on Coast to Coast using a voice changer. So here we go.
The dog and pony show of a medical team handling the physical abilities of these beings is one of the constant sources of paranoia and chaos within the administration of these programs.
And this one says, E.T. was here to live and walk.
E.T. was here to live and walk. E.T. was here to live and walk.
It could be live and work.
I agree. Yeah, I actually did hear that time. And now here's an interesting one. Billy Meier claimed his aliens came from the Pleiades. So listen to this one.
So you're saying we really have not effectively communicated with them. There has been no vocal communication?
The aliens do not speak.
And this one says it's from the Pleiades.
It's unfamiliar.
See, this... Okay, now this guy's telling a true story, okay? These are reversals that are adding extra information, okay? And you compare that to Billy Meier and their chalk and cheese, you know?
You bet.
So,
that is one of those stories that I'm very glad that you have reversals on. It's just, I've seen too many people who have bought into it hook, line, and sinker. They look at the pictures and they hear the stories and I don't know. There are guardians of the cult who are they're damn scary people, some of them. They're that into it. Any cult, when you get that blinded to everything else, you found the truth. You know the truth. So nothing else even gets considered. There have been some people who have stepped away from it and allegedly revealed things about the Meier story in the past. But this reversal tonight of him is the most definitive information I've ever heard about it. That's fascinating.
Yeah. I was quite surprised as I started doing the reversals, But
yeah.
Here we have a UFO sighting in Phoenix back in '97.
No nonsense, people, reporting very accurately, and that adds in my book, a dimension of credibility to the whole thing.
This one says UFO hovered. There we go. I've done enough work in this whole area to know there's something going on. There's something out there. There's something going on.
Oh, you bet.
What it is,
I know.
I know. There's something going on. I've done enough reversals on genuine stories that are congruent with their story to know that there's something. But
in all likelihood, we're being visited by any number of intelligent life forms. My God, the universe is enormous. It's beyond comprehension. The galaxy is beyond comprehension. There are 10 billion planets or something that are projected to be just in our galaxy. And to think that there aren't innumerable forms of life. And then when you consider the fact that this planet has been here for 4.5 billion years, to even suggest that there's never been any visitation here is intellectually pretty grim.
I agree with you. Yeah. I wish I had some reversals handy on UFO abductees. I did a few on those in private session work many, many years ago, and reversals were really disturbing. Very dark, very dark.
You know why? Negative. Because they're true. It's a terrible thing to be kidnapped against your will, to lose all control of your body, to be prodded, whatever. It couldn't get much darker than that unless you were exterminated. So I agree.
Yeah, it was.
I think it is, David, that there are two tiers here of strange. One is advanced military strange, and the other is visitation strange. And I think that the two overlap. I think that there are clearly contacts, clearly interrelationships between off-planet intelligence and the black ops boys and girls here who are running the show. Why not? Why? What? I don't know. It's so obvious to me. Anyhow, go ahead.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. Here's a chap, the name of what was his name? Jeremy Corso. He's dead now.
Jerome, not Jerome. Philip Corso. Colonel Philip Corso.
And here he is. He came out claiming he saw alien bodies and stuff from Area 51, and here he is describing one of his encounters.
I saw a body at Fort Riley, Kansas, but I put that out of my mind until I could corroborate the information.
Here he says, I looked at it.
That's what
well, see how he says that very matter-of-factly? I looked at it. He's telling the truth.
That's right. Yeah, he's telling the truth. He saw a body, and I looked at it. Yeah, telling a true story. Yeah, and here he is again.
There was no question in my mind what it was. I know the difference between a body like that I saw there and a dummy.
And here he says, they got it.
They got it.
Oh,
they got it.
Wow.
They got it.
Clear as day. Two, what we call first of reversal, straightforward, everyday English, confirming his story. Okay?
They got it. They got the body. All right, they have it. Of course they do. They have dozens of them. Who knows how many they have? Roswell was real. Cape Girardeau in 1941 was real. There have been so many things go on. And if you weren't listening last hour, but my guest from Brazil, one of the top researchers in Brazil, was talking about a number of cases down there. And it's fascinating because they have a different
sightings. On UFO sightings.
Yeah.
Huh. Quite ironic that I should come on with UFO stuff then, isn't it?
That is perfect dovetail. Yeah.
Interesting. Yeah, look, there's clearly something going on. There's just no doubt in my mind on this one at all. Here's some from the Mars mission. That this is a rover. This is a straightforward, interesting reversal.
And then it turns back and continues on its way to the location that we had specified. And it's these type of motions that we've been performing over the last 7 days and have been working exceptionally well.
And it says the Alpha search the hill and they shake the loose dirt.
The Alpha search the hill and they shake the loose dirt.
Oh, nice and clear.
The Alpha search the hill and they shake the loose dirt.
The Alpha would be the rover, and that's what they did. It searched the hill and they were shaking dirt. That's what they were doing. That's what the experiments were. Drilling into the sand, you know.
Yeah, you've seen, I'm sure, many of the photos from Mars. There's debris. It's debris. There is debris everywhere from a blown up civilization. Intelligently created artifacts all over the place in these pictures. Many of the pictures have clearly been smudged out, clearly been played with before they've been released. I've run several dozen of them recently on the homepage. But it's now NASA today says they're going to send a Mars mission to look for ancient alien artifacts. See how they're backing into this? Yes.
Oh, really?
There are artifacts all over the place there. We've seen them. We've got countless pictures of them. Water, trees, broken, looks like concrete, slab, all manner of things that are clearly not naturally formed. They're artificially formed. It's a blown up civilization. Now, that isn't to say that some life may still be there living underground. We don't know that because there are those glass tubes, glass-like tubes that run all over the place.
I know. They're weird. I've seen pictures of them. Yeah.
Well, anyhow, we're lied to constantly. That's just the way the game's played.
Yeah, that's true. All right. Okay. Well, let's look at some of the NASA Mars missions. Here we go. Here's a NASA scientist saying there's life.
Certainly, if you do the math, the probability is very high, almost 100% that there is life out there, and a very good chance that there's intelligent life somewhere out there.
Mm-hmm. And here he says there is life.
And there is life.
There is life. There is life.
See how he says it also? He's making a simple statement. He's kind of tired. He knows. You see, there is life. They know. They're all keeping to script, and he's sounded rather tired of it there. Here's this little thing. NASA has nearly finished building a robot that will explore the surface of Mars and examine the possibility that alien fossils are there waiting to be found. See, they're playing games. They have so many pictures of stuff that's there. It's silly. That's how they're going to back into it. Oh, well, we went looking for fossils and we found more than that. Come on. I'm just so tired of the lies. It's really stupid. It's embarrassing.
Yeah. All right. Well, here's this reversal. Talking about NASA and Mars.
And for the record, I think it's interesting that if you look at some Mars pictures, you find Kermit the Frog and a couple smiley faces on Mars. So personally,
so he's debunking,
trying to mock it. Yeah, sure, he's mocking it.
But backwards, he says these ships are on it, but nobody's getting answered. So what?
Wow.
So what on earth is he talking about? What ships? I mean, are they aware of stuff? Of
course he is. He's saying the ships are there, we know it, but nobody's talking about it. Now, does that mean nobody's talking about it to him and his professional scientific colleagues, or nobody's talking about it because it's a matter of national security? Who knows? I don't know. Either one.
This one. Are we coming up on a break? We must be any second.
No, we're going through it.
Are we? Oh, okay. All right. So here we go.
The selection on who gets to use Hubble is made by committees, peer-reviewed committees of other astronomers who come to Baltimore, meet at the Institute. They sort through the proposals, make their recommendations to our director.
And this one says, what's locked up with their starship, this needs to be known.
Oh.
Look at that, hey?
That's a big one. Now, who is this guy? Do we know who he is?
This was a NASA scientist. What was his name? Oh, dear me. This is from the Coast to Coast show back in 97. He appeared. Ray Villand. Ray Villand, if I remember correctly.
Okay.
And he was talking about Mars. And let me play that reversal again. What's up?
Yeah, play it.
This needs to be known.
Yeah.
And then you add it with the previous one, the ships are on it, but nobody's getting answered.
Answers.
Oh, answers. You're right. So, folks, I'm not knocking the whole UFO phenomenon. As you can see, we've got some very interesting reversals here. I'm just knocking the Billy Meier story. That's all.
Play that last one again, forward and backwards, please. That was really important. They're talking about ships, starships. Yeah. Okay, This confirms so much. Again, this is really good stuff you have.
Yeah, Ray Villand was the name. So here we go. Okay. Here's the forward again.
The selection on who gets to use Hubble is made by committees, peer-reviewed committees of other astronomers who come to Baltimore, meet at the Institute. They sort through the proposals, make their recommendations to our director.
What's locked up with their starship, this needs to be known. It certainly does need to be known. I'd like to know too. They've got a ship and they're trying to unravel the mystery. And there's something going on Mars that they know about. And I mean, now these recordings are 20 years old. So I mean,
22 years old.
No, so what's been happening since then?
Oh, God only knows.
I know.
There's so much going on, David, that we're just not considered to be worthy of knowing by the arrogant international elitists. They want to keep it all to themselves. It's the same old game.
Yep. Yeah, here's another mind blower.
Shortly after it got there, when the mapping began that year, Viking Orbiter 1 sent back the picture, and somebody noticed it on there, and it was kind of a neat thing.
You're talking about the face. We're involved with Sardonia. Sardonia, the region on Mars, that allegedly has evidence of ancient civilization.
Well, it's got the face, it's got pyramidal structures, a lot of geometry, the way the things are laid out. They're ancient, but they are there. It looks like it anyway. So we're involved with Sardonia. We don't know if that's confirmation, but we do know that they had a special interest and they were involved with that place, so that location.
Yeah, I think they're interested in it. At least they were back then. I mean, I should start looking at this again. Now I'm getting my interest going here, pulling all these old reversals out.
Absolutely.
I only did this because I did the Billy Meier one this week. And here's another mystery. Here we go.
This feature that looks like a face, I believe, is about a mile across.
Okay.
And it's way below Hubble's resolution. The resolution we have is good for sort of global monitoring of Mars and sort of looking at Mars as a weather satellite would look at Earth.
And this one is we're riding a shielded vessel.
We're riding a shielded vessel. We're riding a shielded vessel.
So what?
We're riding a shielded vessel.
This was before. I mean, what were their Mars missions going on 20 years ago? I don't know.
We're riding a shielded vessel. I don't know. There's several ways to take that. We allegedly have an advanced space fleet predicated on physics and drive that the common people are never told about. And we've been to Mars for a long time, back and forth. That's what the subculture would suggest. And maybe he's talking about that. We're riding a shielded. What was it? Shielded what?
Vessel.
Yeah.
Here, I'll play it again. Here it is.
We're riding a shielded vessel.
Yeah, there it is.
We're riding a shielded vessel.
There it is.
So that's how they go and come from Mars in a shielded vessel because of the radiation, solar radiation, and other types of issues that the human body can't take. So they have a shielded vessel. That would make perfect sense. If you ever heard any of the, who you ought to do reversals on is William Tompkins, Bill Tompkins, the guy I had on the program. 52 hours on the air with Bill Tompkins. Told so many amazing things, details. Yes, he worked all the way through World War II. On what is it? What's that island in San Diego? North Island? What is it? The Navy island?
Coronado.
No. Treasure Island. Not anyway. There's an island there that is apparently a location for a top secret naval installation, in addition to non-top secret. But Bill Tompkins worked with the Navy, Admiral Rico Bata, B-A-T-A, during the war as an 18, 19-year-old whiz kid. He was building models of the U.S. naval fleet when he was 13 or 14, exactly to scale. And the Navy freaked out, said, "How did you do these? You can't even get on these ships." Anyway, Tompkins was a wizard, and they brought him into this program, and they were debriefing spies that came back from Germany and Europe during the war in 41, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And he told that whole story. He talked about the Battle of Los Angeles, which he was an eyewitness to as a young kid, on and on and on, right on through Douglas Aircraft, Raytheon, Thomson Ramo Wooldridge, where he worked in the most advanced levels of research and development, and it was all pointing toward interplanetary travel, ET contacts, you name it. He said that the secretaries in the office were, in his view, clearly ETs.
Wow.
So there's a lot of that. William Tompkins.
Don't know how to comment on that information.
Let me get you a couple of things, and you can go through it sometime, because that would be quite a vindicator. I'd like to hear that myself.
Oh, sure. Oh, look, I'm very open to the whole UFO thing, and I mean, is the government? Does the government have secret programs? Of course they do.
Oh,
I mean, how many? Of course they have secret programs that we know nothing about.
And how much money do they have? As much as they want.
I know. Yeah, here we have, look, okay, let's see we're on Mars. Here's some strange reversals on Mars. This is Mike Malin, who was the Mars photographer, who developed Mars photos.
Now, yes, he was the man in charge of, if I'm remembering correctly, MSS, Malin, is it Malin?
Malin, M-A-L-I-N, yeah.
Malin, MSSS, Malin Space Sciences, MSS. And he was the man who was in charge of the optics, I want to say telescopes, but whatever cameras were used on the observer and the transmission of the images back. They went first to MSS, Malin Space Sciences, and then they were released. And we always felt that what was released had been clearly screened carefully. Okay? So Malin Space Sciences, tell me more.
All right. Well, here, let's play some reversals on him. Here we go.
You know, to their concern, and they're upset that it's not going to go. All I can say is, geez, I'm sorry. That's the reality of the thing.
And it says, here the lie was Satellite 7.
You know how you respect Satellite 7. You know how you respect Satellite 7.
Now, I remember I looked into that.
You know how you respect Satellite 7.
The seventh satellite or seventh mission or something to Mars went missing or was crashed into the planet. They lost it. But
allegedly.
Did they? Allegedly. That's why I say that. Okay, talking about altering photos. Listen to this one.
A day after that, the spacecraft, goes up to the spacecraft into the camera. A day after that, we fly over and it takes the picture. And the day after that, the picture comes down.
And it says, deceive our ships with little blank. Smudging. That's smudging photos.
He's blanking out images on the photos.
That's right. Yeah, that's exactly what that reversal means.
Well, more confirmation of what we thought. That's very good. Very good stuff. Wow. I'm going to make a YouTube video out of this one. This is great.
Oh, okay. All right. Sure. Okay. Well, then, okay. So here we have this one.
You mean that I got the picture, or that? Well, no. You see, I actually have to target the pictures. So I say, hey, look, it looks like the ground track's going over the face. Okay, put that target in. Okay.
And here it says, I found the vessel. And then I found the vessel, deceive our ships with little blank. I mean, what is this, man? I mean, this is a straight out con job. I mean,
of course it is. That's exactly what we thought and what we were saying back at the time, David. Exactly.
Yeah. Well, this is the reversals. Hey, listen to this one.
During the heating, the camera is not looking away from the direction of motion, so it doesn't feel the full force of the atmospheric friction.
Mm-hmm. This one says her ships carry survivor.
The ship carries survivor. The ship carries survivor.
This show will raise a few questions in people's mind, won't it?
He's talking about Mars, the ship from Mars, or a ship of maybe one of ours, carrying survivors. Our survivors, did something happen up there with one of our crews? If we did indeed go there, which I think we certainly have, frankly. There's so much going on the moon now. We know that. It's crazy. A very interesting, fascinating reversals which confirm virtually 100% of all that we thought and postulated back when Malin was running the cameras and the optics and the pictures. It came back to him first, you got to remember that, and then it was released. So he was the guy at the choke point. He was determining what we were going to be able to see and what we couldn't.
Look, there's clearly, based on these reversals, there's a whole lot going on Mars that we don't know about. I believe there's a secret space program. I think the reversals are pointing to that.
That was what Bill Tompkins talked about at great length. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I think there is. I think we're further out into space than what the public knows. Yeah. Here, listen to this one. Oh, here's Malin.
For example, there are a lot of people who are interested in whether or not there's life on planets around other solar systems, and other stars and so on. Mm-hmm. Well, they're really unhappy that we don't know the answer to that, aren't they?
And here it says, through that night, the source of the Nile was sent out.
The source of the Nile was sent out.
Nile, Egypt, pyramids, ET contact is how I interpret all of that. Okay? Egypt's.
The source of the Nile was sent out. Play that one more time, would you?
Yeah, here we go. Here's the reversal. Through that night, the source of the Nile was sent out.
Through that night, the source of the Nile was sent out. Through that night, the source of the Nile was sent out. Through that night, the source of the Nile was sent out.
Look, he knows a whole lot.
I thought it might be, instead of the Nile, denial. The source of denial was sent out, but I'm not sure I hear the D.
Let's play it again.
Through that night, the source of the Nile was sent out.
No, it's the
Through that night, the source of the Nile was sent out.
It's the Nile.
It's Nile. That just gets back to Egypt and all types of things.
Well, you know, yes, of course. And the linkage there is well known if you do any research in the area. All of the there was an Arab, I believe an Egyptian, who was deeply involved with setting the dates for various missions to blast off on, to begin, to land, whatever. There's a lot of occult as in hidden, a lot of hidden things involved with our space program. And the linkage to ancient Egyptian, although I don't believe it was Egyptian, I think the Egyptians inherited those relics from an earlier life form, is quite clear. There's a lot of things that are being used to determine what we do, when we do it, how we do it. These reversals on Malin are so damning.
I know.
Man.
And talking about an occult interest, listen to this one.
Well, there are two things. The thing I normally tell them is I'll certainly give it a try, but I can't guarantee that I'm going to get a picture of it.
And he says, gonna meet your new father in the light. That has occult overtones to it, doesn't it? It's like,
oh, yeah. Wow. How interesting.
Fascinating reversals looking back on 20 years ago. I mean, that's what these were. I've got to do some current ET UFO reversals. Find out what's going on now.
Yeah. Well, I really suggest you, let me ask Frank Chile to send us some times that, there's 52 hours, and I'll get you the right things for William Tompkins when he talks about the Deep Space Fleet, when he talks about what was going on in the 50s and 40s, that we were so far ahead. That'll be fascinating. I'll get you some of that material too.
Yeah. Anyone who doesn't believe the government has secret programs is deceiving themselves. Also have secret programs. Yeah. Doing all sorts of things, I'm sure. Okay, what else have I got? Here we have another one. This is about the Mars missions.
These very dramatic differences in temperature and wind between just 5 feet up and right down the surface, it suggests that in the immediate neighborhood of the surface, there's in effect a distinct microenvironment.
I don't know what this reversal means. Subversing our government.
Subversing our government. Subversing our government. Subversing our government.
I don't know. I mean, are they doing things outside of the government knowledge? Is that what it means? I don't know.
It depends on what area of the government he's talking about. If he's talking about rank and file Congress, rank and file executive branch, yes, they could be subverting or subversing. Sure, the government, they're working on a whole separate timeline away from the government. Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
The government, the quote government, what congressman and Representative Ocasio, for example, what the hell do they need to know any of this for? They don't, and they won't. So, yes, subversing the government, I think, is a given.
Yeah. Hey, here we have an interesting one, talking about ancient Ars artifacts. This is talking about the rover.
It's a small bowl-shaped crater, and we think, in fact, that's what produces the more angular rocks at the landing site, the really kind of square and angular, jagged ones, as opposed to the more rounded ones.
And it says, I see a nail with this car rolling.
I see a nail with this car rolling. I see a nail with this car rolling.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah, the car rolling is the rotor.
Good stuff.
Oh, let me see. I'm just pulling things out at random here. Hang on, let's have a look some more on Mars. What have I got else on Mars? Here's an interesting one.
Our assessment done from the stereo images that were available in this image set indicate that there are safe areas on either side of this pedal for the rover to drive.
And it says, well, they're faking it. See, they're faking information is what they're doing.
You bet. Yep.
Oh, wow.
Sure are.
Gee, wow.
We've been conned. We're getting conned all the time.
I'd say we are. I see no other way to interpret these reversals. Here's an interesting one.
Try to deploy the rover ramps, but the rover team and the pedal team, the mechanical team, and the airbag team have looked at it very, very carefully, and they've concluded that the safe thing to do is to attempt this additional retraction. Now,
and it says, released our brain in the east. Oh, that's actually not a good reversal. Sorry about that. Let me play that again. Hang on. Forget it. Throw that one out.
I think it's east, not yeast, anyway.
Well, I did say east. East.
Oh, okay.
But I don't think it was very clear. Anyway, I haven't listened to these reversals for 20 years. So, I only pulled them out because I had the Billy Meier one. I thought, let's play those, Jeff. He'll like the Billy Meier reversals.
Good call. Good call. Yeah. Very good choice.
Oh, here's an interesting one. This is a Air Force spokesman debunking the whole Roswell incident.
Okay.
Let me read my prepared statement, and then we'll roll a short video that Captain McAndrew will talk about.
And the video shows allegedly test dummies, but he says backwards, we faked it.
We faked it.
I mean, these things are so funny. They're ridiculous. I mean,
they are. Yeah. Well, that whole crash test dummy alleged explanation was an obscenity, and
it's ridiculous. Yeah. The dummies didn't even come in till 52, I think it was, or something like that.
That's right.
Like that.
They weren't even around. That's right.
And here he is again.
I'm sorry, I just don't have any information for that. All I know is what the Air Force did, and that if you overlay much of their claims and you look at the Air Force scientific research, you can see it's obvious that what we're talking about at Roswell.
And it says, share a secret with NASA.
Share a secret with NASA.
Share a secret with NASA. Share a secret with NASA.
There, folks. If you get nothing out of this show today, you know that the government's far more involved in space research than what we've been told. And beware of UFO cults, Heaven's Gate, Billy Meier, others like them.
Absolutely. Great advice, David. Thank you. Well, reverse speech. What a stunning program. Thank you for that. That was superb. Just superb.
All right. My New Year's gift to you.
Well, I greatly appreciate it. I will put this together in a YouTube video, and we'll have it out hopefully in a day or so. All right.
Okay.
Happy New Year, David. You've got it.
You have a good New Year's Eve here, so I'll be staying up tonight watching the fireworks in Sydney.
Good job. All right. Enjoy. Be well.
Okay. See you later. Okay. Bye.
Good night. What a terrific hour. Reverse speech. Wow. Lots of revelations there, to be sure. All right. We'll be right back with more.